They met in the most unlikely way. She was a young, vibrant teenager swept off her feet by a charming, older man, a pilot who'd do anything to win her heart. For Caroline Crouch, it was a love story pulled straight from a fairy tale. But behind the romance was a dark truth that no one could see coming. At just 19, Caroline thought she'd found her forever. But on one horrifying night in May 2021, the dream shattered. Police were called to a scene of unimaginable violence in a quiet suburban home. Her young life was stolen, leaving an entire nation shocked. And her husband, Bobbish, a man she once trusted, with a story no one could believe. At first, it seemed like a brutal robbery gone wrong. But as investigators dug deeper, the chilling truth began to unravel. Secrets from a seemingly perfect marriage, a web of lies, and a crime so twisted it left the world speechless. This is the story of Caroline Crouch, the young mother who fell in love, only to meet a tragic end. What really happened behind the closed doors of that quiet house? Join us as we uncover the shocking tale of betrayal, manipulation, and murder in the perfect love story turned deadly. Before we dive into the haunting details of this story, if you're fascinated by true crime cases and want to uncover more shocking tales from around the world, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode as we continue to bring you real stories that reveal the darkest sides of human nature. Join our true crime community today. For many teenage girls, the idea of meeting the love of their life, eloping, and marrying holds the allure of a fairy tale. Caroline Crouch was no different. Bright and impressionable at 15, she fell for Bobbish Anagnostopoulos, a charming, financially well-off 27-year-old pilot, who, quite literally, swept her off her feet by flying a helicopter over her school. Their whirlwind romance and eventual elopement seemed like a dream come true. But this fairy tale would spiral into one of the most shocking murder cases Greece had ever seen. Caroline was just 15 when she met Bobbish at a Good Friday parade in 2017. The tall, charismatic helicopter pilot was drawn to her youth and beauty, and Caroline was captivated by his confidence and sophistication. Bobbish, 27 at the time, was a commercial pilot, already well-established and financially secure. His gestures were grand. He frequently flew over her school and appeared in ways that any young girl would find enchanting. To Caroline, his attention and affection felt like the beginning of a great adventure, a story meant to be lived and retold. By 2019, only 3 years later, Caroline and Bobbish were married. The young bride, barely 18, exchanged vows with the man she believed to be her soulmate in a small, intimate ceremony in Portugal. They soon settled into a rented 2-story maisonette in the upscale suburb of Glyconera, on the outskirts of Athens. Caroline's parents, David and Susan Crouch, supported their daughter's marriage despite the age difference, trusting her judgment and the apparent stability Bobbish could provide. But soon, cracks began to show in their relationship. Born to a retired engineer and a mother enamored with the Greek coast, Caroline had enjoyed an idyllic childhood. Her family moved to the island of Alonissos when she was just 8, captivated by its lush coastal scenery and the sense of tranquility that pervaded the air. Caroline's days on the island were spent swimming, scuba diving, and exploring. She loved the sea with a passion that only grew as she matured. Alonissos was her sanctuary, a place of comfort and adventure. It was at Alonissos High School that Caroline first laid eyes on Bobbish during the Easter holiday in 2017. For the young girl who spent her days dreaming of adventure, Bobbish embodied everything exciting and different from her sheltered island life. Soon, their bond deepened, and what started as an innocent attraction turned into something much more serious. Despite their age difference, Caroline felt she had found her soulmate. Bobbish was everything she thought she wanted: successful, worldly, and deeply attentive. She felt seen and cherished. By 2019, the couple had decided to marry, and Bobbish orchestrated an elopement to Portugal. There were no lavish celebrations, no large gatherings of family or friends. For Caroline, this might have felt thrilling at first, like a grand secret the two shared. But in retrospect, it marked the beginning of her isolation, a controlled life guided by Bobbish's decisions. After the wedding, Caroline and Bobbish moved into their new home in Glycanera, where they began planning a future together. With financial support from Caroline's parents, the couple purchased a plot of land where they dreamed of building a house for themselves and their newborn daughter. Caroline's parents gifted her 50,000 euros as a gesture of goodwill, while the couple had stashed away an additional 10,000 euros to contribute to the project. Due to economic instability in Greece, many people, including Bobbish and Caroline, kept significant cash reserves in their homes rather than relying on banks. Their life together, however, was not as idyllic as it appeared on the outside. Bobbish's control over Caroline tightened as time went on, leaving her feeling trapped in what was once her fairy tale. In her diary, she confided feelings of loneliness, fear, and doubt about the man she had once adored. What seemed like small arguments at first became regular, escalating into intense, emotionally charged fights. Caroline began to feel as if she were suffocating in a marriage that was becoming increasingly oppressive. On the fateful night of May 11, 2021, Caroline and Bobbish were asleep in their bedroom when a nightmare erupted in their home. Bobbish later recounted to police that he was startled awake at 4:30 a.m. by a commotion and, within moments, found himself overpowered by three masked intruders. The men had broken into the house through a basement window after failing to force open the rear door. They moved through the house silently, strangling the family's 7-month-old husky, Roxy, as they entered. In the bedroom, Bobbish claimed he was bound with duct tape, while the intruders demanded to know where the couple's cash and valuables were hidden. They terrorized Caroline, their 11-month-old daughter nearby and crying. In a desperate attempt to protect his family, Bobbish revealed the location of the money, hidden within a Monopoly board game box. Yet, the intruders were relentless, ransacking the house and taking jewelry, personal items, and anything of value. Bobbish recounted how he lost consciousness several times due to the tight restraints around his neck, awakening only to hear Caroline's screams as the men demanded more money. Tragically, Caroline's pleas were not enough to spare her. In the final moments of her life, she fought desperately, her body showing signs of struggle and resistance. For 6 agonizing minutes, she was smothered, her life extinguished in front of her infant daughter. When the men finally fled, the house was left in shambles. After about 30 minutes, Bobbish managed to reach his mobile phone and, with his nose, dialed for help. The emergency operator heard only muffled cries from Bobbish, who barely managed to convey that they had been robbed. At 6 a.m., the police arrived to a scene of utter devastation. In the main bedroom, they found Caroline's lifeless body face down on the bed, her infant daughter by her side, crying. Bobbish lay on the floor, blindfolded and bound. Throughout the house, it was clear the intruders had scoured every room, leaving drawers open, clothes strewn about, and a dismantled security camera on the couch. They had taken the memory card, seemingly leaving no trace of themselves behind. However, as the investigation unfolded, questions began to arise. In the days following the murder, the Greek public was horrified. The media reported on the brutality of the incident, and Bobbish appeared as a grieving husband and father, devastated by the loss of his young wife. His heartfelt tribute to Caroline at her funeral only strengthened the public's sympathy. He described her as his joy of life and promised to honor her memory through their daughter. Yet, despite the overwhelming grief he displayed, some elements of Bobbish's story didn't quite add up. For starters, the police were troubled by the lack of physical evidence. No fingerprints, no DNA, nothing beyond a single piece of a hood that supposedly belonged to one of the intruders. Caroline's smartwatch data, meanwhile, indicated that she had died earlier than Bobbish claimed, at a time when he had supposedly been bound and incapacitated. Moreover, the security footage revealed a damning detail. The memory card from the security camera had been removed hours before the supposed break-in, a discrepancy that Babish could not explain. As investigators pressed him, they uncovered chilling details about the couple's relationship and Caroline's growing disillusionment with her marriage. Texts from Caroline's phone showed that she had considered leaving Babish, even booking a hotel room for herself and their daughter the night before her murder. With mounting evidence against him, Babish finally confessed. He admitted that he had killed Caroline in a fit of rage after she threatened to leave with their daughter. Overcome by anger, he smothered her with a pillow, staging the scene afterward to appear as though intruders had invaded their home. He killed their dog to make the scene more convincing, a calculated act to evoke further sympathy from the public. He even bound himself and dialed emergency services, believing he could outsmart the investigators and divert suspicion away from himself. The Greek public was outraged as the truth emerged. What had initially appeared as a senseless act of violence by unknown assailants was, in fact, a premeditated murder by the very man who had professed his love for Caroline. His actions exposed a manipulative, cold-hearted individual capable of inflicting unspeakable pain on those he claimed to cherish. In May 2022, Babish was found guilty of premeditated murder, animal abuse, and obstructing justice. His meticulously crafted story crumbled under the weight of the evidence, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Caroline's story is one of tragedy, a young woman with dreams of love and family, only to find herself trapped in a nightmare that would end her life. Her murder, once a story that captivated and horrified the world as an apparent home invasion, became a dark tale of manipulation, control, and a husband's betrayal. The case, now known as the murder that fooled the world, serves as a reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk behind a seemingly perfect love story.